Hello and welcome to ModKit. In this episode we're looking at the multiplayer FPS Star Wars Battlefront II. As sequel to the original Battlefront, Battlefront II follows similarly to the Battlefield series. Thankfully the unmodded game has full widescreen support and works quite well on modern systems. This guide will focus on improving graphical effects along with adding additional content to the game. The first part of this guide will focus on getting the game to run. We'll then move on to setting up a basic modified installation. This will include fixing the multiplayer component of Battlefront 2. We'll then move on to the additional maps and mods section, which will focus on adding additional graphical effects along with adding additional content. And finally we'll look at the results of this guide. The first thing you'll need to do is get your copy of Battlefront 2, which is available from Steam, Amazon and others. You'll also need to know where you have installed the game, which is usually under a Star Wars Battlefront II directory. For Steam users, you can find the game directory by going to the Steam button at the top left, clicking Settings, followed by Downloads and Steam Library folders. Currently the multiplayer service for Battlefront 2 has been taken down, and so additional software must be installed to allow multiplayer play. This will be covered at the end of the section. When playing multiplayer games, you must take into account what mods the server has installed and appropriately change your game installation. For versions other than Steam, you may need to install the 1.1 patch. This is linked below. At version 1.1 the game is already fairly stable and can be used to play. Although if you have startup issues, please see the description for additional fixes. The next section will be focusing on installing a specific mod build. In this case it'll be the 1.1 plus the conversion pack and 1.3 patch. Due to a limitation in the number of maps that Battlefront can load, you may have to swap and change mods depending on which mods you would like to play. For example, you may be unable to use the conversion pack alongside the 123 plus pack. The first mod we'll be installing is the Battlefront conversion pack. This adds additional Battlefront 1 content to the game along with the KOTOR era. To install, download and run as administrator the installation package. Continue through the installer before selecting the Star Wars Battlefront II directory. Ensure that game data isn't duplicated in the address bar. At the end of the installation a command prompt may appear, but you can safely ignore this. Follow the same steps for installing the 2.2 patch. Then finally, install the 1.3 unofficial patch. Point the 1.3 patch to the Star Wars Battlefront II directory, and when asked to customize the installation, untick the 1.2 HUD. Next we will be installing the Star Wars Evolved mod. This improves the models of the base teams within the game. To install, run the exe and extract the contents to any folder. From here copy the sides folder and go to your Star Wars Battlefront II directory. Go through game data, data and _level_PC before pasting and overwriting the sides folder. At this point we can start and configure the game. Once the game is started, go to the options menu followed by video. Enable VSync, increase the view distance to 99, increase the LOD distance to 99, change the resolution to your specific resolution. In the additional mods section we'll be installing an EMB which requires anti-aliasing to be disabled. If you do not wish to use the EMB then you can safely set the anti-aliasing to your preferred value. Ensure all other settings are set to high and on. Then accept the changes and quit. At this point both the single player and the local multiplayer parts of the game will be working. But to play internet games we'll have to install an additional third-party part. There are now many services that can add multiplayer back to Star Wars Battlefront 2. Some require adding additional programs, while others require you to replace the exe file. In this guide I'm going to be installing the Game Master patch, although other methods will be listed in the description. To install, download the Battlefront 2 files from the Game Master website. Open the downloaded file and go to the 1.1 directory. Choose either America or Europe depending on your closest location. Then copy the correct client exe to your game data directory. Currently you can choose between English or German. Once in the game data directory, rename the battlefront2.exe to make a backup. Then rename the new client to battlefront2.exe. When starting the game you will now be able to use the multiplayer menu. In this section I'll look at additional mods. Here we have some example mods for Battlefront 2. The first being Dark Times 2, an additional single player content mod that adds a lot of extra maps and content. To install this, you simply run the exe and point it to the Star Wars Battlefront 2 folder. As this adds some parts of the 1.3 patch, you will have to reinstall the 1.3 patch. Battlefront Extreme adds additional game modes that offer tweaked gameplay to the original maps. This can be installed by pointing the installer to the Star Wars Battlefront 2 directory, then reinstalling the 1.3 patch. Most mods and maps follow a similar procedure, although for maps they can be copied to the add-on folder under Game Data. The add-on folder is essential for making sure you don't hit the mission limit. Within the add-on directory you can remove the mods, ensuring you do not hit the mission limit. Simply delete the files or folders. In this case I'm going to be deleting the BFX folder. The next step will be to install the EMB mod. This is optional but does add some additional post-processing. To install you will need a copy of 7-zip. Extract the contents of a .raw file to a folder. Then copy the contents to your game data directory. For NVIDIA users you can also optionally enable ambient occlusion. This adds extra depth to the game's scenes by adding extra shadows. To do this, download and install NVIDIA Inspector. Then open it and open the Profiles menu. Find Star Wars Battlefront 2 in the top left box. Change ambient occlusion compatibility to Team Fortress 2. Then change ambient occlusion setting to high quality, followed by ambient occlusion usage to enabled. You can also enable anisotropic filtering by changing anisotropic filtering mode to user defined, followed by anisotropic filtering setting to 16 times. You may then hit apply. At this point you will now have the game ready to play. The results of the changes show a great deal of graphical improvements. A lot of improvements showing the character models, but things such as EMB add a lot of extra depth to the scenes. Battlefront still shows it can pull its weight when it comes to massive battles, with very few games able to pull the number of NPCs such as in an XL game mode. And with multiplayer now still around, hopefully it will be played for years to come. Thanks for watching.